Hello everybody and welcome back. Thank you as always for joining me on the channel. So today we have a little bit of a different video than normal, but it still fits in quite well, and that is I went out and looked for 5 different cars you could find at under $10,000, and the point of this video is to show you just how cheap / economical you can be when looking for a sports car, and that's whether you're looking for a daily drive or you're actually just looking for a secondary car that you can have fun with, because $10,000 isn't a lot to put some skin in the game for a fun sports car, and you certainly can find some great options out there. There were 3 different things I looked at when finding these different cars. The first obviously being the price point. It had to be under $10,000. The second is it had to have a clean title. It could not be salvaged, couldn't be currently wrecked. It had to have a clean title at the standing moment. And the third is it had to have less than 100,000 miles. That meant that at least it didn't have 150, 200,000 miles, and it could be on its last leg. Usually under 100,000. For most vehicles, you can still get a decent amount of life out of them. So those were the 3 points I was looking for, and I was able to find 5 great choices for you. Now the first vehicle on the list is a great one, and that's the Infiniti G35. It's the 4th generation that we're talking about, and it was built from 2006 to 2015. And there were tons of different options to choose from. There's a sedan and a coupe, a rear-wheel drive version and an all-wheel drive version, and 2 different types of transmissions to choose from, a 5-speed auto or the better 6-speed manual. There were multiple different motor options, but the most popular was the VQ35HR motor. It was a 3.5-liter V6, and it produced 306 horsepower at 6,800 RPM, 268 pound-feet of torque at 4,800 RPM, and had a 0 to 60 of only 5.3 seconds. It did the quarter mile in 13.8, not a slouch for a car that weighed almost 3,500 pounds. So as we take a look at this first listing, you can see that I was able to find a used 2006 Infiniti G35 base. It's well under the $10,000 mark, and it only has 90,357 miles. Now, this has kind of a cool blue to it, but my favorite parts of the car are first that it has the 6-speed manual, it's rear-wheel drive, and it's the coupe version. It's the 2-door, not the 4-door version sedan. I think this would be a great addition to anybody's garage. So the next vehicle on the list is the Nissan 350Z, and I remember when I was in high school there were several very lucky kids that were able to drive these vehicles, and they looked really cool. The variation that I'm talking about was built from 2003 to 2008, and it had several different types of trims. There was a base, an enthusiast, a performance, a touring, and a track. One neat feature was after 2007, they were built with the same engine as in the G35 that we just spoke about. So it had the VQ35HR motor. Again, that was a 3.5-liter V6 306 horsepower engine. With it being a little bit lighter than the G35, it had a 0 to 60 time of 5.3 and a bit better quarter mile at 13.3 seconds. So the listing I was able to find for the Nissan 350Z was a pretty nice listing, and we found a car just under $10,000, and it has about 92,800 miles on it. It is an enthusiast edition, so it's not the base, and it's got a soft top convertible on it. Now, as I look through the pictures, it definitely looks like there's plenty of life left in the vehicle, and it looks like it's been maintained pretty nicely. It does have a clean Carfax, and again, it has that 3.5-liter V6. This is a great choice, and there were tons of options available if you didn't like this color or trim. Now, the third car on the list has always been important to me because I wanted one so bad growing up, and that is the Mustang GT. I'm specifically talking about the 5th generation, and that was built from 2005 to 2014. It was actually built at the Flat Rock assembly plant. Now, there was the V6 model, but we're not even going to talk about that. We're only going to talk about the 4.6-liter V8. It produced 300 horsepower at 5,750 RPM. 320 pound-feet of torque at 4,500 RPM. It had a 0 to 60 of 5.5 seconds and ran the quarter mile in about 13.8 seconds. So it was no slouch in the speed department, even though it was a heavier vehicle. Now, if you decide that you want to buy a Ford Mustang, there will be plenty of options for you. And even at under $10,000, there will be lots of choices for you to pick from. I was able to find this used 2006 Ford Mustang GT, and it even has the premium package. And at $9,877, it seems like a steal. There's only 82,505 miles on it, so there's tons of life left in this car. I really like the black look. It may not be for everybody, but I absolutely love the wheels. I think they look really good, and it looks like it's been well taken care of. But the best part of this vehicle is that it has a manual 5-speed, and that coupled with the 4.6-liter V8 will be a great option for just about anybody. Now, if I'm going to have the Mustang GT on the list, I absolutely have to have the Chevrolet Camaro. Now, we are going to talk about the 4th generation Camaro, which was built from 1997 to 2002. And even though it's a little bit older than the Mustang GT, a lot of people actually liked the look of this generation Camaro. There were several different trims, but specifically we're going to talk about the Z28 trim, and that's because it came with the LS1 engine. It was a pushrod V8 with 5.7 liters. That gave you 305 horsepower and 335 pound-feet of torque, with a 0 to 60 in just a little bit over 5 seconds and the quarter mile at 13.5 flat. This car was a looker, and it was very quick for its time. Now, if you choose you want to find a Chevrolet Camaro, you'll see that there are tons of listings available. However, finding the Z28 trim is a different story. It's held its value much better, and finding one under $10,000 can be much more difficult. However, I was able to find a 2000 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 for $9,927. It has just a tick under 80,000 on the odometer, and it looks like a good example of one. The paint looks like it's in good condition, and the interior also looks like it's in good condition. It has a clean Carfax, and even though it has the 5.7-liter V8, it does have a 4-speed automatic. That may be off-putting for a lot of people looking for this vehicle. However, it goes to show you that there are examples available for under $10,000. Now, the last car on the list is probably my favorite, and it's probably the most difficult one to find. However, they can be had for under $10,000, and that is the C5 Corvette. Yes, for under $10,000, you could find a good example of a higher mileage but yet well taken care of C5 Corvette. The C5 Corvette was built from 1997 to 2004, and it had the same LS1 as the Gen 4 Camaro Z28, and it produced 345 horsepower in this variation with 350 pound-feet of torque. It had a 0 to 60 of only 4.5 seconds and a quarter mile in 13.3. This would by far be your quickest car on the list, and I think if you were able to find one, you would have no problem loving the vehicle. As I stated, finding a C5 Corvette can be pretty tough at under $10,000, but I was able to find one for sale at Knox Motor Group. They have a 2000 Chevrolet Corvette C5 base, and it has just a little bit under 100,000 miles. It does have a clean Carfax, and it's $5 under the $10,000 mark. Overall, it looks like it's in pretty good condition. They do have the changed over headlights instead of the typical pop-up. They actually have a cover on the top for the pop-ups, and it even has the aftermarket C7 Z06 rims on it. The interior of the car is going to be hit or miss for a lot of people. However, with the right buyer, someone's going to find a lot of enjoyment out of this car. And for, again, under $10,000, it's a great buy. That wraps up my list of top 5 cars to buy under $10,000. As I said, I was able to find some sort of listing that pretty much went with all of my points. They were all non-salvage, clean Carfax vehicles under $10,000. Under 100,000 miles, and I think that gives you a good idea of what you can find out in the marketplace today. If there's any vehicle out there that you think I missed and should be added to the list, please drop them in the comments below. I know there's a whole host of awesome vehicles out there that would probably fit in this list, but let me know what you guys think. I always like hearing from my subscribers. I hope you found this video enjoyable. If you did, please hit that big like button. Make sure you also hit that notification bell so you can see all of my newest videos I have coming out. We have some videos on the R8 coming out soon, so I hope you guys will enjoy those as well. And if you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. We would absolutely love to have you on here. As always, you guys take care, and I'll see you next video.